how are you today? I think we have about 5 of us, 6 of us. 5. When we talk about board selection, compensation removal, compensation being imposed on incentivizing boards, and also we're going to end up at board structure and board succession plan. We might probably will definitely do the first 2, but we might be succession plan. Any comments or any questions from the course so far that we need to deal with? Give you a minute to email, message me or anything. Okay, let's begin. Again, long this is based on the US, but we're going to try and discuss any issues pertaining to Jamaica and the Caribbean. So, let us just see. Among public corporations, okay, that's good. Market for directors. Among public corporations in the US, 50,000. 7 years average tenure, and average mandatory retirement age 72. Say directors tend to retire voluntarily. Only 2% of directors who step down were dismissed or not re-elected. What does that tell us? Does that you think only 2% of directors deserve to be dismissed and re-elected, and not re-elected, or looking at another way, 19% deserve to be allowed to voluntarily retire? I doubt it. My intuition is that no. Many more should be pushed out. So one could argue that there is just, in a sense, a club. On the other hand, maybe the feeling is that they have to be collegial if they're going to work together. So maybe they will be a little more lean, a little more towards allowing directors to stay as opposed to pushing them out. If you have any comments, please let me know. Directors have a mix of managerial functions. I can't really read this here, but basically we're saying many are financial and managerial, CEO types. Some are academics. Moving on now. I wanted to think of this question for Jamaica. I'd like some comments. Okay. Maybe the directors are often large shareholders, yes. Or maybe they are appointed by large shareholders, fair enough. You're right, if they have dominant shareholders, and in the US sometimes if you have 12% of the shares of a public company, you might become considered a dominant shareholder. That's not by no means majority. Maybe you push yourself on the board or you push your nominee. But the question I want to ask is still consider, does this mean that only 2% of directors need to be dismissed or forced off of the boards? what they think on that. And maybe that is an issue in boards. I mean, they have to get on or be able to talk to each other, collegial. The question is, does that lead to a certain problem in terms of, does that result in lower performance? But yes, maybe you have some other points on it. But I want to ask all of you, are there enough qualified directors? So what do you think in Jamaica? Or, I'll put the question a different way. Are there more qualified directors than they use at this point in time? Any comments there on Keisha and Nadine, or Josephine, or Dion, or Cheryl? Comments? Okay. Look at the little box, the red box at the bottom of that, the red writing at the bottom of that page. And this is to the US. Directors most difficult to recruit include ethnically diverse, women, those with technological expertise and international expertise. But let me ask you now, if you're saying what characteristics of directors you think are the most difficult to recruit in Jamaica or in the greatest, most short supply, what is your opinion? Cheryl, Dion, Josephine? Okay, independent directors in short supply. Is it that people who are independent don't want to put themselves up? Or is it that boards don't want independent directors and therefore those who could be independent directors don't bother? Or is it that we live in a society where objective people are in short supply? Somehow I don't think it is as bad as the last one, where we have shortage of independent-minded, well-thinking, clear-thinking people. Any comments on that? We want to have some interaction. Okay, you're right. Why is it an exclusive? What do you think the motivation, Keisha Ann said, majority of boards are exclusive, tend to see the same persons. Yes. What drives that, do you think? What is the driver that causes that to happen? Is it that you have main boards have dominant holders or shareholder groups, or is this that and or something else? But what I'm really saying is, what are the factors that lead to this shortage of independent directors? Anybody? Cheryl, what about you? Okay, yeah, and I think Jamaican companies. Okay, in other words, it's a matter control and power and dominance take precedence over everything else to the detriment of the future of the company. Is that a reasonable way to put it? Therefore, in effect, you find that a lot of boards tend to be dysfunctional. I'm not saying they're totally bad or totally unproductive. Maybe dysfunctional as it has, maybe they have a lot of upside potential to actually become much more functional and productive. Sometimes, yes. Okay. Lisa, Nadine, Josephine, any comments? All right, let's move on. Okay, what do you think, Lisa? Or let me add another question. What do you think, and more specifically, do you think that, what are the characteristics you think that are missing, or that people say are missing? Is it industrial knowledge? Is it functional knowledge? That's like, for example, financial, legal, operations. Is it the ethics and governance understanding? Is it insight and wisdom? Any others? Lisa, any feedback on that? Okay, industrial knowledge. Anybody else? What about functional knowledge, understanding of country, having contacts, having networks, being independent, being outspoken in the sense of being willing to buck the majority if necessary? Anybody else? Okay, they must bring balance to the board. What about the soft skills, understanding of management and managerial problems, ability to analyze and have insight into situations, to be able to look at things in an ethical, from an ethical perspective, try and analyze the ethical issues, as opposed to legal. And any thoughts on those softer skills? Yeah, what about the softer skills? Okay, a lawyer and chartered accountant, both are important from a legal perspective. What about taxation, for example? Do they just want, what type of legal, apart from this law, a lawyer and a chartered accountant, do they need tax expertise, or is that left to, should that be left to management? Nadine, any thoughts on this?